And once again, we welcome you to United in Liberty Radio. I'm Dustin Harris.
This is Joe Olivas.
We're hanging out with you on a pre-tax day version of United in Liberty Radio. It is April 14th, the day before we lose our souls, Joe. By the way, congratulations are in order for myself. I jumped up a tax bracket.
Wow, that's impressive.
Well, it's a little sad, actually, because I had planned on being in a certain tax bracket and got my taxes back and got the big heads up from my accountant and realized I don't have enough money in the bank.
Wow.
So happy April 15th.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those good and bad. I mean, I guess jumping into a higher tax bracket probably says that you're a little bit more productive than the average citizen. I mean, I think 46% don't even pay taxes.
Now, I think I heard that. I heard that this week.
Yeah, so it shows a sign of productivity. At the same time, it's come on, Dustin, you gotta redistribute that wealth, man.
I guess so. I tell you, it's frustrating though when you plan on being in a certain tax bracket. And I've religiously put that amount away, put it in a savings account every single payday. And it's interesting. We had a talk around the water cooler today in my office about this very thing. And I know this isn't the subject of the show today, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But we talked about this whole tax thing and the fact that as we graduate the scale, it really does cause you to think, maybe this year I don't want to be as productive. I don't want to be as productive because I don't want to pay that much in taxes. It really is anti-productive. It is anti-capitalism.
That's by design. The funny thing is you see evidence of what Ayn Rand would refer to as the moochers and looters around this time, because more often than not, those that rush to file their taxes January 1st are those that are going to be getting money back, and more often than not, they're not getting money back because they've paid too much. They're getting money back because they've done just enough to be counted as beneficiaries of those who would be considered productive in society.
Right. Yeah. The other discussion we had today is how long would the tax base that we have in the United States of America last if every single employee out there were required to write a check each payday for their own taxes. I don't think most people even realize how much is coming out of their pockets.
No, they don't. I mean, they're looking forward to the different rebates and things that are going to be coming back to them. Looking forward to that tax return. Most of the people that I know that they're not too worried again about this this tax day, simply because they filed several months ago, and the reason why they did is because they knew they had money coming back, and that money was spent before it got back. And so, I had an interesting conversation with an individual today, and she and I were talking a little bit about the same type of thing. But she mentioned that she couldn't understand how quickly her tax return was gone, and she got so much back, and she was so excited that she got so much back, and she asked the question, and she says, I don't understand why we can't get that all the time, and it was too exhaustive of a conversation. At that point, I was already tired. I didn't even want to have the conversation with her.
It reminds me, a couple of years ago, I ran into a gal who we were talking about, how much we pay in taxes. And I don't remember the whole gist of the conversation, but she turned to me and she said, I don't pay any taxes. I get a refund every year. All right. Hey,
you're welcome.
Joe, you talked a little bit about Ayn Rand, and recently, you kind of got me hooked on this whole Ayn Rand issue. I didn't really know who she was. I'd heard of Atlas Shrugged. I heard it was a big book, that and War and Peace, and I just don't pick up those big books very often. You kind of got me here, I don't know, a year or so ago, thinking the wheels turning up there about Ayn Rand. I picked up a copy of The Fountainhead, which happens to be her first big novel. She had written some things previous to that, but that was the first one that really went big, kind of paved the way for Atlas Shrugged. I have to admit, I didn't enjoy Fountainhead very well. It was a big book. It was a long book. I listened to it rather than read it. Took it on a trip with me, listened for hours and hours and hours and hours, and it was all right. There were some good speeches in there, but there was a lot of stuff in between that it just didn't really tickle my fancy too much. However, I decided I would give Atlas Shrugged a try. Started out very much like The Fountainhead. There was a lot of listening and a lot of substance. I think she's trying to, put down the foundation for what comes later. And to be honest with you, the first third of the book, maybe even half of the book, I wasn't too excited. I now have a poster of her in my bedroom. My wife doesn't like that too much, but it's a modest poster, just a headshot. But as you get past that, first half of that book, and it's just a little book, but
well, you definitely see, as you get towards the latter part of the first half of the book, some of these characters you begin to identify with a couple of them, and there's one in particular that everybody wants to find out about and learn more about, and everybody thinks it's a miss. It's the infamous John Galt. It's people aren't asking who is John Galt anymore. I think they're asking where John Galt actually is, and if you don't know at this point, listeners that don't know, I mean, we can't spoil it for them, and they
don't spoil it for me. No, I haven't even finished it yet, Joe.
See, and I'm throwing out those teasers out there just simply because it gives everybody hope. I think it's something that I'm excited about, just simply because I recognize, I see evidence of what we've got going on in Atlas Shrugged in our everyday life. I think that's probably why Atlas Shrugged has been so successful. I know you mentioned Fountainhead, and I think my favorite part of that particular book is Howard Rourke in his courtroom speech, and I think that's all over the internet, and it does have a basis for her foundation, the principles that she advocates or the philosophy she advocates for. But I think Atlas Shrugged is kind of the pinnacle of that.
You and I were discussing that just this week. It's interesting to me. Here's Ayn Rand. I believe she's from a communist bloc country. I can't remember for sure. Maybe you'll remember there. But she comes to the United States of America. She realizes what we have here, and she really wrote this book in response to Roosevelt and some of the things that he was trying to push for right after the close of World War II, and some of the Democratic operatives that were trying to push through these socialist-type agendas clear back in the 50s. This thing came out in 1957, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, and it is absolutely amazing. They talk often about Orwell's 1984 and how prophetic that was. I don't remember what year that was put forth, but it was a long time before 1984, and certainly we're not. If you've read that book, certainly we're not there yet. But a lot of those things in that book obviously have come to pass, and so a lot of people, in fact, it's an axiom that many people use in Orwellian society that obviously comes from Animal Farm in 1984 and those books that were very prophetic as to what can happen when government overrules and overruns the people. And I'll tell you, we are looking at a Randish society where these things are really coming about. One of the things we talked about, Joe, maybe we can go into some detail here with the listeners. And if you haven't read Atlas Shrugged, don't worry, we're going to walk you through it a little bit. We're not going to destroy the ending, right, Joe?
No, we're not going to. I'm going to keep that from you and the listeners.
I appreciate that. But one of the things that comes up about midway through Rand's book is Directive 10-289.
Yeah, I think that's a very clear indication of where we're at as a country today. I mean, Directive 10-289, that's an executive order. It's drafted by a few of the characters in the book. One of them, the one that drafts the book, that drafts the executive order, his name is interesting. His name is Wesley Mooch. I mean, that's a great play on words there. I mean, he is the moocher and the looter.
Oh, I thought you meant the Wesley part. I was trying to figure that out.
No, he's definitely the moocher, and he together with a group of individuals who have various levels of responsibility in government. Some of them involved with unions and things like that, and it's kind of the backdoor deals. If I can be so bold to say, it's the the Cornhusker kickback, the Louisiana Purchase, these backdoor deals that needed to take place for healthcare. That's where this executive order comes into play.
And it's interesting. There actually is a scene in Atlas Shrugged where there is a backroom deal going on. I mean, these guys meet together. They sit around the